Hi, I'm Joel Sipress.
And I'm David Voelker.
We're the editors of Debating American History, a new series from Oxford University Press. Debating American History embraces an argument-based course model in which students are asked to participate in a contested evidence-based discourse about the human past.
We put together this series based on our own experiences in the classroom and our frustration with the traditional lecture-style survey course, the coverage model, which we found couldn't deliver on its promises to students, that they would develop comprehensive knowledge in a particular era in history.
You really can't cover everything in one course anyway, and trying to obscures the historical thinking process by presenting history as an uncontested narrative derived from authority.
Right, and the need to cover a large swath of history takes time away from actually practicing the skills of historical thinking.
Students on their ability to reproduce authorized facts and knowledge fell far short of our own teaching goals, and many of our colleagues around the country felt the same frustrations.
Debating American History is designed to show students that historical discourse is complex, sophisticated, and argumentative.
Each title in the series focuses on a big question, the type of question that historians themselves debate. Questions like, how democratic was the US Constitution? Why did civil war erupt in the United States in 1861? Why was industrialization in the late 19th century accompanied by such great social and political turmoil?
Students use primary sources to develop their own positions and support their own arguments.
And by doing that, they develop the dispositions and habits of mind associated with historical thinking.
Informed by the most recent scholarship on the best learning practices, books in the Debating American History series are informed by the following principles. Number one, they're focused around big questions that historians themselves actually disagree about.
Number two, they systematically expose students to rival positions about which they must make informed judgments.
Number three, they ask students to judge the relative merits of different positions on the basis of historical evidence.
And finally, number four, they require students to develop their own positions on these questions that they must argue for on the basis of evidence.
The Debating American History series gives students the opportunity to argue for their own positions. Their positions may parallel or synthesize from those of historians they've read, or they may be original. In either case, students have to use evidence to support their arguments.
Learning to argue about history is, after all, a process that requires students to develop new skills, new habits of mind, new dispositions. And for that, they need to practice evidence-based debate in an environment that is supportive and where instructors provide feedback and guidance.
While argument-based courses don't attempt to provide comprehensive coverage, they allow students to focus on a smaller number of questions. And along the way, as students answer those questions, develop their own positions, they do learn a lot of content knowledge about the period that they are studying.
Debating American History is a series of modular volumes. Each volume is between 100 and 150 pages, and each one is focused on a specific topic and question in American history that will support all four characteristics of an argument-based course.
Instructors can choose one or two modules to incorporate into an existing course design, or they can fill the whole course around several modules, each module taking up a week or two of the class.
By focusing on a limited number of topics, students will be able to engage in in-depth historical argumentation, including consideration of multiple positions and substantial bodies of evidence.
Each volume includes these elements. Number one, the big question, a narrative essay that introduces the central question and provides general background.
Number two, historians' conversations. The historians' conversation sections provide students with 2 or 3 original essays, each of which presents a different position on the big question. While these essays are historiographically informed and make occasional reference to particular scholars, they're not designed to provide an in-depth historiographical introduction to the big question, but essentially to provide students with models of historical argumentation from a variety of positions.
Number three, debating the question. Each module includes a selection of primary sources. Students will use these sources to evaluate the historian's positions and also to develop and support their own positions. Sources could include texts, images, maps, excerpts from secondary sources. The specific materials vary depending on the big question. Some modules include a case study which provides an in-depth look at some particular facet of the big question.
Many instructors, when presented with the argument-based model, find its goals compelling, but are concerned that students might not be able to engage in this kind of historical argumentation. Our own experience is that most undergraduate students are able to take on, at a basic level, different perspectives and to evaluate them on the basis of evidence.
We have evidence of this not only in our own student grade books, but we've also each studied our students' learning, and we can see that students are able to think like historians at a novice level. And when they're doing so, they also develop critical thinking skills and dispositions that enhance their higher education more generally.
For students to achieve the goals of an argument-based course, however, the class must be backwards designed to promote historical thinking skills. We've developed an instructor's manual entitled Developing an Argument-Based Course to provide instructors with guidance and advice on course development, including sample in-class exercises and assessments.
The purpose of debating American history is to provide instructors with both resources and strategies that they need to develop an argument-based course. Debating American history leaves plenty of room for instructor flexibility, and it also requires that instructors carefully select, organize, and introduce the readings for their students. Instructors will also need to coach students on the process of historical thinking, even as they develop content knowledge on the particular topic that they're studying.
Particularly when housed within a broader curriculum that emphasizes engaged learning, an argument-based course prepares students to take on the kind of practical questions that they might encounter in their daily lives, whether those questions be personal, professional, or civic. When encountering, for example, the kinds of historical claims that we often come across in political discourse, students will have the ability to ask questions about context and evidence.
In this way, the argument-based course helps fulfill the discipline's long-standing commitment to cultivating engaged citizenship.